I'm going to actually tell you my story. So I'm the founder of Hearts Undivided with Katie, Johnny Kate. She's bringing my daughter to the bathroom. And we basically do what we can to keep families together. I'm also in school to be an attorney because of what happened to me, and I'll explain it a little bit. So, I've been fighting for the basic right and the basic freedoms to be a mother to my children, and it's been basically since I've had them. It started with my own family. It turned, the gaslighting, the trauma, the abuse, the pain, and, once I realized that the pain that I was going through was actually what was going to pave the way to change things for the better, I, got to work and I started doing things and learning what I did not know to help people prevent what happened to me happening to them, basically. And what happened was, as a kid, I went through a lot of abusive things. A family member was really awful to me and my mother. And basically, I had called DCF on them a lot as a child, and they did nothing for it until I was about 17 years old. And this judge took me from him for abuse and then placed me in this, it was an outward bound type, program in Oregon called Sage Walk. 2 years later, it was shut down because kids died. We had to walk, it was a minimum of 5 to 8 miles a day with a 50-pound pack on our back. We had to do it outside in the heat. There was no indoors anything. We had to learn everything on our own, learn how to do a fire, or we couldn't eat, be alone on a solo for 7 days as a child in the woods and the desert. There was just a lot. And that same judge also is the judge that, took my daughter from me. So when I went back to court, great Judge Torney, gotta love him, who is also my mother's next door neighbor, he decided to remove my child and give her to the man that he took me from. So basically, after this, it was a struggle between getting visitation, seeing my child, and abiding by my abuser's rule. I had to literally do whatever he wanted, be under his thumb in order to see my daughter. That included committing perjury. I had to tell the judge that I did not witness him do things, and this was a separate judge in my parents' divorce case. It was horrible. And so going through hoops, running through, all this stuff, I remember looking at, the DCF worker when they first came to my house when I was, I want to say 19 years old, and thinking, well, I'm fine. This will never happen to me. As long as I'm doing the right thing, this cannot happen. But I was completely wrong, did not know about the Adoption and Safe Families Act, did not know about anything going on. So I became an addict, and I was really bad. I wanted to die. I used to die. That was my point. I did not have my little girl. I did not want to be here anymore. That was it. End of story. But 8 tries later, I came back. I overdosed 8 times and was pronounced dead. And I came back, and now I have about 10 years clean, and I'm going to school to be an attorney. And they hate that. They hate that. So just like Connie, they come after me, that, they show up at my house, they do this, they do that. I just had them close a case because they opened one stating, well, actually, they had no reason for opening it. That's why they had to close it. But it was, it's insane what happens. But with my first daughter, we ended up finding out that the guardianship that they had had me sign, I was told that if I signed this piece of paper, which has name, date, guardian, person, there's no information explaining what it really is. I was told DCF will be out of your life, you'll be able to have your daughter, she'll go to your dad, and then you'll get her right back. Okay, that sounds great. This is a great deal. Don't bring your lawyer. That should have got me, Don't bring your lawyer, but do all this. So I signed, but my daughter's father did not sign. So what we just found out in July, we got the paperwork from the initial guardianship, which shows that they forged his signature, and that's why he never had the trial. So they literally forged his signature on my daughter's guardianship paperwork and passed it in, and for 11 years it's gone unnoticed until, I wrote a Rule 60 in family court, and I said, listen, you screwed this up for 11 years now, and the lady almost had a heart attack. It was kind of amazing to see how far I had come to get here and finally prove my stance here. I did not do anything wrong. To this day, there's no reason why they removed my children. They have not given me a reason why or how I neglected or abused either of them. And I was, I was really bad into stuff, wanted to get Layla back, couldn't. Wound up pregnant with my second daughter. They all have the same dad. And with this daughter, I did everything right times a billion. I made sure every step I took, if someone was watching, I made sure every little thing I did was perfect. I got, it only happens with me. There we go. I got forced to leave my home and put into a shelter called Angel House in Hyannis when I had my daughter. I had her on methadone because I was told, if you don't get off, we're going to take her. If you do get off, basically the catch-22 thing. And I ended up getting off of that. But because I had her on methadone. DCF was notified. They came in. It didn't matter about what drug tests I had clean. It didn't really matter about anything. All they wanted to know is about my past as a foster child, which has nothing to do with my parenting. You know, just insane things. And I did this program. I got glowing recommendations from them. Out of, I believe it was 600 and something visits, never missed a single one, never failed a drug test, completed everything I was supposed to complete, parenting classes. My car broke down. I couldn't do the last 3, so I did them over a Zoom type thing, which was not heard of back then, because this was, what, 9 years ago. So I completed everything I was supposed to, but that was not enough. And even when we brought everything to court, the judge said, you know, there's no evidence that says that this mother has abused or neglected her child, but then he adopts her out. So none of it makes sense. There were 75 erroneous findings, like, you know, one being I had an extensive criminal record of 2 traffic tickets, and another being, you know, I wasn't ready to participate in my own treatment when I had been actively in treatment for 10 months at that point. And, you know, the fact that with my first daughter, the big mistake that I made was I was not willing to go to a shelter and take her with me, even though I shouldn't have had to anyway. I wish I did that, because now I look back and I'm like, you know, if I just did that. So I did it with Stella, and I went to the shelter, but it didn't matter no matter what we did. It didn't matter how many times Stella said she wanted me, and my little minion over here is Freya. This is my 4-year-old. But, you know, I've been fighting ever since, and I ended up getting to talk to my 12-year-old, she's 14 now, oh my God, Layla. She ended up calling me, and now we've been talking for 2 weeks, and it is amazing. Like, she wasn't aware of anything that happened, really. She was told I didn't want her, I was sick, I was this, I was that, you know, her whole life. So imagine coming into a situation where you think your mother is this terrible whatever person, and then you find out, holy crap, she's actually really been, you know, doing a lot. And you know, I can't thank her enough for being so supportive and understanding. And you know, it's just a miracle, all the help that we have around us, and all of the people that have gotten involved in this. And you know, I wouldn't be here without Connie. Like, she was one of the first videos I saw. I thought I was going crazy. You know, the government doesn't do this. Yeah, you know, everything we do, if it's right, it's fine. No, that's not how it was. Yes, baby. And Freya wants to be a bus driver, apparently.
She wants to go to the taco bus.
So, long story short, when I started I don't know. All right, there. So after the adoption happened, I just remember being on my couch for months. I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, I wanted to die. And I did not go back to drugs. So I was clean this whole time, and I remember thinking, if I do this, then I prove them right. And I want my children to find me healthy, happy, and successful, so they know that I did everything I could possibly do for them. So at that point, when that happened to Stella, I started Families Against Legal Kidnapping as a group on Facebook. And it was basically just somewhere for me to complain about what was going on. And then when I realized this was an actual real problem with real solutions that aren't being looked at, you know, I started reaching out to different places. I saw, you know, videos from Connie, from everyone, from, you know, I met Andrea, I met, you know, we have Megan Walsh here, John Walsh's daughter. Like, the things that we have accomplished and gotten together are, you know, amazing. And even if it's flying under the radar, it's really not. There's so many people that know who we are at this point, and the government in Massachusetts absolutely does. I've gotten phone calls from the Office of the Child Advocate. You should pay more attention to having custody of your child if you know, instead of trying to get custody for other people. What's more important to you? Well, every child's important, and if I'm not doing this, then there's one less person doing this, and then there's not going to be, you know, a big uproar, whatever I'm going to accomplish. I mean, I just truly believe that this happened to me, or I have to believe this, in order for me to help the other people that are going through it. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that came all the way to Florida and that is doing all this, because, I mean, without you, I literally would not have her. I wouldn't been able to go. All right. I wouldn't have been able to avoid what just happened to me for the last 8 months when I started speaking on legislation about, you know, what was happening with DCF, with ASFA, all of that. DCF shows up at my door, anonymous call, okay. So they closed those ones, and then all of a sudden, again, testifying legislation, anonymous call. So they couldn't find anything. So then they tried to put a 51A on a family member that was not a caretaker of her. So I was like, I'm going to throw a Hail Mary. I'm going to call the, you know, US DOJ. They just had a new agreement with Massachusetts DCF, which which is, it's going to be, or it is a federal agreement, and basically, if your ADA rights are violated, then the DOJ will go in and report it to DCF, see if they'll fix it. If DCF doesn't fix it, then they will sue for you, literally. So that's a huge deal. I really didn't think much would happen, but you know, within about 2 weeks to a month of me doing that, they send me a letter, you know, we're going to take you to court if you don't answer us, because I did not answer them. I did not, you do not sign anything. You do not sign anything that says you will not sign anything. You do not do anything. Don't talk to them, close the door, say goodbye. It's voluntary services unless there's a court order. So regardless, they did not like hearing that, and lo and behold, I just got the letter. They had to close the case. So regardless, you know, the fact that we're doing this and we're exposing this is a huge deal, and no matter how depressed or upset or whatever it is that we get, that's what they want from us. We cannot get like that. We have to stand up. We have to show our kids what's going on. We have to be diligent. We have to be truthful, and we can't be under the guise of best interest of the child. You're gonna, you know, you're gonna harm your child if you tell them what's going on. No, in reality, you harmed my child by removing her, putting her in this situation to begin with, and now I have to lie to her in order to have her be successful and happy? I don't think so. I'm not gonna do that. I don't care what it is. Yes, I was a bad person back in the day because I went through stuff. Now I've turned life around. Anybody can do that. Nobody should be completely denied from their children for the rest of their lives because they went through whatever they went through as whatever. You know, everyone can change. That is what our nation's based on, right? You know, bringing new things to fruition, having good things happen. Well, let's get it done.